Nobody was designing,
Sorry, a
nobody
little
was
bit late.
designing, no problem. Nobody was designing homes anymore. The builders were losing their personal homes. And so I said, well, I guess I should get my real estate license because in this design, build, sell plan, somebody's got to get their license. So I'll do that. I'll do in 2009, and I won't sell any houses, but I'll learn the industry. And I
Okay.
got my license in May of 2009. I actually picked Keller Williams because I said, oh, I'll never cap. The cap doesn't matter. But they're an education company. And so I did that, engaged in their education so I could learn, got my license in May. I had my first closing in June, and I never had a month after it that I did not have a closing as
Wow.
the market declined. And we just realized, man, we can make a huge impact in people's lives, like designing a good house that impacts people's lives. But this is like belly to belly impact of wealth building, helping people with integrity during the most stressful time of their life, often. And so, yeah, that's how we got into real estate. And so then we went all in
Wow.
on real estate, and we use architecture now as an add-on.
Okay.
So we'll do consults on homes or help people build homes, but that's not our main business anymore. The main business is real estate.
Wow. Okay. That's an interesting story to get you started. Wow. Very cool. So I want to, this 30 minutes is going to go by so fast. So I want to roll this right over to Tiffany. As I said earlier, we're going to do some breakout rooms, which apparently we need to set the meeting up differently in the future. But for today, we're going to rock and roll with it. So Tiffany, I'm going to kind of roll it over to you. Let me know what I can do to help. And would you like me to leave you spotlight? You want me to spotlight you? You want me to leave it so you can see everybody? What's best for you?
Either one's fine with me. Whatever's
Okay.
easiest for all the participants is fine.
Okay.
So yeah, when Tony and I were talking about this, number one, kudos to all of you for getting on a call every morning. Like, the question I was going to have y'all discuss quickly in a breakout room, and I want you to think about this for yourself, is what's important to you, your family, your clients about starting your day with the right mindset. Because you guys invest 30 minutes of valuable time that either you could be spending with your family or taking your kids to school, or you could already be lead generating. Like, I want you to think about why is it important to you to start your day on this call? Because I think it is. But why is it important to your family that you do that? Why is it important to your clients that you start every morning on a mindset call like this? When Tony was telling me what y'all do, I think, man, this is phenomenal. So I want y'all to think about that later. But it's important, and kudos to all of you. And thank you, Tony, for having me come. When we were
Thank you for,
discussing what to talk about, one of the things that he had found on my YouTube channel or somewhere was a group I started called the Wealthy Agent Mindset.
mm,
And it was a 1 year series that I did around what really creates a wealthy agent and how do you foster that through a wealthy mindset. And so I was going to hit a couple of things on that. And Tony, you can stop, or I've got the chat up. If anybody has questions, you can throw it in that. Um, but I love the concept of wealthy transformed for me when Gary Keller shared his definition of wealthy. Because in my mind, wealthy was rich. That's and that meant they had a swimming pool. Like, when I was growing up, that's what I thought rich was. If you had a swimming pool, you were rich, which means you were wealthy.
yep.
But I became a QL instructor, so teaching to young adults. And so Gary was training us, and he was sharing his definition of wealthy. And it really transformed how I thought about it. And so I want to share that with y'all. So his definition of wealthy is the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it with whomever you want to do it with. So the ability to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want is what Gary Keller says is the definition of wealthy. So immediately that goes to, okay, this isn't just about money. Like, I don't know about you, but I know that when I started in this industry, I worked nonstop. This is an industry that does not stop unless
Mm,
you let it or make it stop. In Tennessee, the contracts end at 11:59 p.m. I was taking calls 9 p.m. from clients, and like, Once you get successful, your time disappears because your clients demand it, the industry demands it, all of that. So I maybe was making a lot of money, but I did not have the ability to do what I want, and definitely not when I wanted to do it. And so looking at the two things that can make you a wealthy agent is the wealth of time and the wealth of money, which helps you with your wealth of time. So I want to start with wealth of time because that's something that I don't think a lot of us think about necessarily. And money is a renewable resource. Time is not. You can lose $1 million and make $1 million again. So money should not be the goal that you focus on because that can come and go. But the reality is we only have the time that we have. And we honestly don't know how much time that is. And so focusing first on, okay, well, I want to be wealthy in time. I want to create boundaries in this industry. I want to make sure that I can spend some time the way that I want to spend time. So, number one in this industry, before you have money, before you're financially free, how can you have a wealth of time? One of the things that I say is look for boundaries. Look for the boundaries you want to have in the business. So, when I had babies and little kids, I set a boundary once I kind of woke up and said, oof, I do not want to work like this all the time. I can't do it. I never see my kids. I said I no longer work between 2:30 and 4:30 in the afternoon. Because here was my thought. Two things. Children waking up from their nap are the best they will be in all day long. Like that is the
Good
goal.
point.
So I wanted the good time with my kids. When we would normally come home from work, that's when they're the worst. That's the witching hour at 5 o'clock. Like, okay. So I handpicked the best time I wanted to spend with my kids. And I said, okay, that's going to be it. I'm going to wake them up from their nap and then I'm going to give them some dedicated time. Then at 4:30, I can go back to work because the day is not over. You show houses in the evening anyway. So if that becomes my time off during the day, that's totally doable. My business can still move forward. I get good time with my kids. But it's weird. Nobody's walking around thinking you don't work from 2:30 to 4:30, unless you're in Spain or something. But so I said, how can I do this? And I just started doing it. But then I realized, ooh, this phone, this thing right here, I am irresponsible with my phone. I cannot be trusted because if I am with my kids, but I have my phone and I see a client call or I get a ding from an email or something, I lose focus on where I'm supposed to be. And so I put my phone in a drawer. It's a joke across the industry, the Tiffany's phone drawer. And I was unreachable from 2:30 to 4:30, such that my parents were like, if something happens to us, how are we going to get a hold of you from 2:30 to 4:30? So I even got a home phone. That's how committed I was. And the only people who had the number were my parents. I am not going to have my phone from 2:30 to 4:30 so that I'm not going to work during that period of time. So I share that story just to say, whatever you decide your wealth of time is, you can figure out a way to do it. Nothing is an emergency that you can't come back to 2 hours later. Same thing with your lead gen time in the morning. If you're dedicated to this block of time, you can put off whatever the problem is for 2 hours. It will not blow up. They can wait for 2 hours for you. So setting your boundaries and figuring out what those are. And then on the flip side of that, though, you need to be, and it's illustrated in that story too, you need to be doing what you've committed to do during
Yeah.
that time. So if it's work time, you need to be 100% in there. If it's my lead gen time, I am not taking other calls. I am not doing anything else except for that thing so that I can have dedicated time with my kids in the afternoon because I know I've done what I needed to do to get to that moment in time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. One thing that I heard as you're talking about your phone going away, you were creating an environment to support your goals. Because that having that phone there didn't, because it's, oh, wait a minute, it's a distraction. And it's okay, very interesting. And that's such a great point.
Well, and it's also failing fast. or I probably failed really slow at this, but it was like, oh, I didn't say, oh, this isn't possible. It was more like, oh, I've got to change something if I'm going to keep this boundary. What's the solution? So when you hit a roadblock of what's the problem that I need to solve, like I've got a YouTube video that is about how I got all my appointments during working hours. Like I no longer met with people at night. Again, this was like next level boundaries of, okay, I realize this work now. Is it possible to have all my appointments in the business hours? Yeah, it sure is. And so y'all can go find that script if you're interested in that. But like it's not saying, oh, I just hit a roadblock. This must not be possible, but more like, I just hit a roadblock. How can I solve for this? To stay committed to your goal.
Love that.
Yep. Okay, so then does anybody have any questions around
Yeah.
like time?
Guys, please come on mute. If you've got a comment, you got some stuff in the chat in there. That Blakely said you were a master at managing your time.
I
So
fail
are you perfect
so
at
many
it?
times. But that's the trip, that's the journey to mastery for sure. But I would say the first thing to it is believing it's possible. And most of us walk around, I mean, other agents, when I said I'm not going to work from 2:30 to 4:30, they were like, that's not possible. You can't do that. Which is basically guaranteeing that I'm going to succeed at it. That's kind of a, oh yeah, hold my purse sort of situation for me. But yeah,
I
so
like that.
that's time and understanding. If I can impart one thing to you, it is that time is more valuable than money. You will never get it back for yourself, for your kids, for your family. Find ways to succeed at a high level in this business without giving up the one thing that is not a renewable resource that we only have so much of.
Love that. And that is so true.
Yeah. And it's not a message you hear a lot. Like it is not a message that you hear a lot from anybody successful because it's not a grind message. It is a kill it while you're there, but stop also. We're made to rest. We need to have that in our rhythms. So
I know.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Wealth of money. Let's talk about that really quickly as well.
Please.
Number one, you should know your financial goal. If you don't know your financial goal, you're not going to be committed to it. And why is it important to you? So, like I've said, my time with my family is important. I love, love, love middle schoolers, which is this like really weird age that most people are like, get me out of this room with middle schoolers. And so I said, I want to set myself up such that when my kids are in middle school, I can pick them up from school every day. I can be around them so that when they want me or need me, I'm there, because you can't just insert yourself into a middle schooler with any sort of like value, really. And so that was important to me. And so when they were kids, I said, all right, I've got 10 years to get to a point that I don't have to work to pay my bills and live the life that I want to live. And so you figure out what is that financial goal for you? It may be financial freedom where you've got passive income coming in that pays your bills. It may be a certain net worth. It may be paying off your parents' house. Like whatever that financial goal is for you, be really clear on it so that you can be focused on it and running after it. And I would say the biggest thing that you can do to get there beyond having a goal and being clear about it is like, you don't need to increase your lifestyle when your money increases. The faster you can get money invested, the faster it works for you. And so part of my story that I don't have time to share, but when we got into real estate in 2009, like we had lived almost 18 months without a paycheck. Like my husband was driving pizza, I was taking odd jobs because all our business disappeared. So it wasn't like I got into real estate and had a ton of money to spend on anything. But what we did was we got our lifestyle back up to normal, which is very frugal, eating out 1 or 2 times a week. And then we didn't change that for 4 years. And I'm saying we had $1 million business and we were still living like we started in real estate, didn't drive
Mm,
different cars, didn't have different clothes. Um, and we invested over $1 million into real estate in that 4 year period of time that in 10 years has grown into part of our financial freedom journey. So the longer you can hold your lifestyle, and that involves keeping a budget and knowing how you're spending your money, the faster you can get that money invested. And everybody on this call has an advantage over anybody not in real estate, because real estate is one, like investing in businesses and real estate is where most of the world's wealth lives. And this is your industry. You know it. You know what a good deal looks like. And so you want to have the money to be able to buy the real estate when you see that it's a good deal, because then that's setting you and your family up for whatever that goal is that you have.
love that. I have a question about that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's very natural for someone as their income starts to escalate, so does their cars, their homes,
Yeah.
their lives. Everything starts to escalate. So in essence, the net really doesn't change. How are you able to stay out of that trap?
So I mean, we operate like it's a business. I mean, like we have a budget, we run a P&L, like on our personal expenses. It's not that we didn't enjoy things. We traveled a month out of every year. Like we said, what's important to us? Okay, this trip. Okay, when we do X, we'll have this money to do a trip with. So if handbags are important to you, or clothes or cars are important to you, set some sort of goal that says, when I get here, this is what I get. I get a prize for whatever that thing is that's important to me. And so that also looks like, man, you guys have the fancy cars you want, but have an investment property that's kicking you the money that's paying for that car, not
Mm,
not the money out of your real estate business. Like buy your fun and toys from your passive income so that your earned income that you are trading that commodity of time for goes towards your long-term investment. But you can't stop the creep if you aren't watching what you spend. So you need to make sure you know the money that you're spending and that you're deciding ahead of time how you want to spend it, with a budget. And
mm.
it's as much work as it is in your business, but the dividend that you get paid, literally, like we became financially free at 42 years old because of 5 years of living like most of America, like most of America, and eating out and like doing all of that stuff, but nothing major came out of our money. And we invested all of it in real estate outside of our investment in some retirement IRAs when we could do that. So,
Wow. So what do you think was one of the emphasis to put you on that path? Because that's just it's a great mindset. It's an amazing way to go. But I think most people tend to live a life by default and not a life by design, which is obviously what you were doing. What
yeah,
was it part of being part of KW?
for sure. I mean, like the whole concept of financial freedom and investing in real estate. Like I I am a chicken. I am a chicken investor. I was not raised by investors. I mean, my dad's an accountant. He knows how to max out a 401k and an IRA and like all of that. So I wasn't taught this. Nobody in my family. I was the first person in my family that bought an investment property. And so that was really, really scary. But because I was in rooms with other people who had done it, I learned from them. Did it make me less scared? No. Did I pay cash for my first two homes? For sure. Was that the best investment with the money? Nope. But did I sleep at night? Yep. Because I knew I was a chicken. So I took the confidence from other people by being in KW who I was seeing doing this at a high level. And then I
Mm,
said, okay, how could I do this? Because I can't do it like that, because that I don't know how they sleep at night. Like what if there's no renter? How do you pay your mortgage? Like I'm not able to do that right now. I can't cover a mortgage if there's no renter. How can I do this? So then I said, all right, I've got to pay cash, which means I was a little bit slower, but I knew I wanted to pay cash for a house. And so I needed, in Nashville at the time, it was $100,000 to invest. Okay, great. So now I've got a really big goal. How many houses do I have to sell above what I need to live to get 100,000 in cash? Great. But yeah, being around people and hearing people who had done stuff that my world, my family, my origin had no point of reference for, completely changed the trajectory of my family, of all the people in my business. Like, and that's the other thing is, my other business is called Her Best Life, and it is a community of female business leaders. And a big thing that we say there is lift as you climb. And so
Mm,
you want to be in a room with people who think bigger than you, and you constantly want to be bringing people with you. You want to say, hey, you can do this. Like, I remember feeling that way, but you can do it. I don't know what you need to be comfortable to do it, but I know you can. Stay in rooms with people who think bigger than you and be curious about how you can do that. The other thing that I'd be remiss not to talk about also is your identity is not your production. Your identity is not the clothes you wear. Who you are and your value as a person is not in these things that we often use money to do. Like,
mm,
what people think about you may be the car you drive, but who you are is not the car you drive. And if you can get there for yourself, then you're able to make your own choices. That's that life by default. If you're following somebody else's definition of success, and I fall prey to this a lot, I've got an MREA podcast episode, and you'll hear my story where it's like 4 years of me going chasing somebody else's definition of success, and then waking up one day and being like, wait, this isn't what I wanted, and having to reinvent myself. And so, like, realize when you're doing that, realize when you're chasing somebody else's version of success, and then get back on your path. Don't beat yourself up. Just be like, oh, this is not what I wanted. I'm going to go over here where it is what I want.
love that. Just putting a link to the YouTube version of the MRA podcast in the chat for folks. Wow. So there was a lot. There was a lot there. So we have 3 minutes. That's going so quick. I would love to open it up if people have comments, questions. I know that I'm going back to listen to this. Again, there's some great nuggets in there. One of the things I heard when you said, be in a room full of people that are smarter than you. Don't be the smartest person in the room. And what was the term when you said lift as you grow, your
Lift as you climb.
lift as you climb. Okay, I love that. And Her Best Life is, I mean, I've talked to Wendy about that in the past, and what a great organization you guys have. It's really phenomenal. It's done an amazing job. Who's got something on here? We got 3 minutes left. I would love to hear some comments from you guys. Don't let me down. I've told Tiffany how great you guys are. So I'd love to hear some comments. I see a couple things in the chat, but who's got some comments? Camille, I knew I could count on you.
Thank you, Tony. I'm so glad you're excited. I am a mom. I'm a single mom of a 6-year-old boy, and I am not on a team. And time is a huge deal for me. And I previously was in the military, which makes your time. You are married to the military, so the huge deal and draw for this industry was my ability to actually have time to spend with my family. But a perfect example is yesterday, I have one surviving grandparent, and I was able to work from her house yesterday. And I did put my phone in the drawer, so to say. But just the freedom to be able to shift my schedule to allow for moments like that is, to me, priceless. And this is probably going to sound morbid, but we're all dying. So, you got to make good use of what you got. So I just, tomorrow's never promised. And I love that message every single time that I hear it.
I love it. Thank you, Camille. Julia, good morning.
Good morning. I just want to say that I love hearing all this. I am newer in the industry, but not newer in life. So I went through a period of 10 or 12 years where I was pretty darn sick. So like just hearing the message of you can do this during your time, like that you don't have to work yourself to the bone, because I definitely learned that you don't know how much time you have, and sometimes your energy can be limited by other factors. And so just this concept of being able to design this as a successful business on your terms is a message that I feel like I like hearing over and over again. And I love the way you expressed that. So thank you.
Thank you.
I love the message. It was really, that was really, really good. Who else has got couple more things to share? We're right at 9 o'clock. I'd love to hear some brilliant, something brief and brilliant to take us home. If not, we'll wrap it up.
Well, it's me, it's Angie. Really quick. This was great. I love to hear every single piece. Tony, I hope you took notes, because that's the kind of business I wanna build, and you are coaching me. So that's my goals. That's what I want to work towards, to just set boundaries and just focus on what really matters for me.
Love it, Ange. Thank you. That's awesome. And I didn't know you were a QL instructor, and a lot of what you talked about comes from QL. So much of it does. And I'll be in Austin. I'm going to QL the end of this month.
Yeah, and if you have kids, I think it's 17 to 25, get your kids into the QL that happens in Austin. It will transform the way that they think. I always think, man, if I thought this way before I was 33, like where would I be now? So I'm super passionate about QL for sure.
Yeah, that makes two of us. I think it is absolutely wonderful. Tiffany, thank you. That 30 minutes, we could go another 30 or more. So thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your retreat. I want to hear about it. Kendall told me you guys are having a retreat. So
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you again for your time. You guys go out. Everybody go out and make a difference today. Thanks, Tiff. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.